All right, how's it going? I got another video for you. Michigan governor to be stripped of emergency powers used for COVID-19 rules. Before we get into it, if you want to follow me and help support me, you can do so through Subscribestar here. I'll have the links in the description below. This came out on the 21st. I'm recording this on the 25th. I've missed a few days, so I'm trying to get some out here. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer will be stripped of emergency powers she used during the coronavirus pandemic after a 76-year-old law was repealed Wednesday. The GOP-led State House followed the Senate's lead on Wednesday in voting 60 to 48 largely along party lines to support an Unlock Michigan petition seeking to eliminate emergency powers of the Governor Act of 1945. Yeah, the governor shouldn't have unlimited powers to do whatever she wants to, even though she was trying to it was the issue too. Is in New York with Cuomo, in New Jersey, I can't remember his name, in Michigan with Whitmer, in California with Newsom. I think maybe possibly up in Oregon too. These governors, because a lot of these extended lockdowns and shutting down the businesses happen by mostly either Democratic governors or Democratic mayors of larger cities shutting stuff down unnecessarily. So that was kind of a big issue, along with, I think she was doing it too, but along with Cuomo putting end up killing a lot of the older population by putting COVID patients in nursing homes. They were the most vulnerable. And with Cuomo, was it Cuomo? Governor Cuomo? Yeah. He didn't want to use the what was it, the Navy medical ship and stuff that he sent, because it would have made Cuomo look like he was using Trump's aid, so he decided to kill 13 to 15,000 people doing that. But whatever. Whitmer, a Democrat, is unable to issue a veto after the state Supreme Court determined the law is unconstitutional. I mean, if you got the Senate, well, that's the thing. That's the balance of powers you have. You have the judicial, the legislative, and the executive. And you have those two being yeah, you can't, the check of powers, checks and balances, you can't do that. The repeal will not take effect until 91 days after the legislative adjourns at the end of the year, which sucks. So according to that, it's not going to go into effect until March 1st of 2022 or something like that. That was the thing too. There was with Whitmer and with Cuomo, they would do these things and they'd shut them down. You can't do that. That's unlawful. So they'd go in and they change this little thing to change it so that specific thing wasn't litigated on. Oh, we'll just do this, where it's a little different. Then they have to go through the whole process again. The Washington Examiner reached out to the governor's office for comment. The Michigan House approved the Unlock Michigan Citizens Initiative to repeal the unconstitutional 1945 state law Governor Gretchen Whitmer used to hold unilateral power over the people of Michigan during the COVID-19 pandemic. Your voices have been heard, Michigan House Republicans tweeted following the vote. The measure protects the fundamental structure of representation in the government and is a win for democracy, said State Rep. Sue Allure. When Governor Whitmer decided to go it alone during the pandemic, her orders left struggling people in their wake, added State Rep. Ken Borton, who also supported the petition. A solo approach was clearly wrong for our state. A governor must work with the legislators to discover real solutions that work for everyone, and Unlock Michigan will help protect the people by protecting the legislative process. Also, I remember her putting laws I guess there's a lot of people that have not a lot of people. I guess some people have in the farther north regions of Michigan, because the way the state's set up physically is weird with it. Part of it, then there's the Great Lakes and the other part of it. But I guess some people have vacation summer homes up north. And I remember it coming out oh yeah, you can't go there. I think it was last summer, but I think she was caught going there. Then also they were saying that you can't do any kind of travel because you don't want to spread the virus. And I think she was caught down in Florida she was like, oh, it's different. I had to go to a funeral. I'm like, no, there's plenty of other people that had like emergency things going on. But that's my biggest issue here is like a lot of these, it seems to be a lot of these like Democratic leaders are placing these laws and these guidelines and stuff. And they themselves think they're above it. They're being hypocritical because I remember Lori Lightfoot in Chicago was like doing all this mask stuff. Then she's out there screaming the bullhorn and stuff like she didn't have a mask. You have Joe Biden saying like all like federal land you have to wear a mask, but he and a bunch of people out there are doing a photo op without a mask. Like they can't even follow their own rules and they expect other people to follow it. Like you have to lead by example. You can't just have these rules for thee, not for me stuff going on. No one's going to like trust in it at that point. Because the issue was like the first 2 weeks, the 15 days lockdown, and like we're what on like month 15 or something like that. Like no one knew what was going to go on. So like everybody was taking precautions and they kind of realized it wasn't as bad as they were making it out to be. So like, oh, we need to open up. Like we need to be able to make money to, you know, keep our house from being foreclosed on, to pay the electric bill, to be able to buy food and stuff. Like they're like, the big box stores, you're essential. Small mom and pops, you're non-essential. Like we sell the same stuff. I'm like, it doesn't matter. We're gonna squeeze the small business. That's a little rant, but where was I at? Democrats slammed the repeal effort with State Rep Mary Madigan, calling, unlike Michigan's petition, a partisan political power grab aimed at undermining Governor Gretchen Whitmer and her effort to manage COVID-19. So it's a power grab because they're saying that the governor can't have unilateral power to make decisions on herself and make and decree guidelines, rules, and laws without going through the legislative process. Okay. This initiated law will cripple the ability of governors from both parties to act quickly. Good. You shouldn't have unilateral power to do whatever you want, whenever you want, especially when making laws that have to go through the legislature. And decisively during public health emergencies, which will ultimately cost lives. She continued, accusing the House of reckless lawmaking. The House Democratic whip accused fellow lawmakers of pretending the GOP-led legislature was proactive in addressing the COVID-19 pandemic. We are actively being gaslighted by our GOP colleagues during this Unlock Michigan debate, State Rep Matt Kolazar said. Michigan's Senate approved this petition in a 20-15 party line vote last week after the Unlock Michigan petition amassed 34,000 signatures supporting the repeal of the Emergency Powers of Government Act, which enabled Whitmer's emergency actions. This is also like the people in California are like doing this recall election on Newsom because I'm pretty sure they amassed. I mean, the people amassing thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of signatures says that the people are like not for what the individual is doing. But you have like Governor Whitmer being like, "Oh no, I'm smarter than everybody else. I know what the correct thing to do is." The petition was certified in a unanimous June 11th ruling from the Michigan Supreme Court. Although supporters of Whitmer said the governor's actions were necessary to save COVID lives as COVID-19 spread throughout the state, detractors who signed the petition argued her actions were a dangerous threat to our livelihoods and constitutional liberties. I say it in a lot of videos, but the whole, you don't give up liberty for safety, you'll have neither. Then also when, if tyrannical regimes are to be installed, it's through the guise of safety and protecting the citizens by them giving up their liberties, which is a big thing with the Patriot Act and all that stuff that happened as well. Not giving up your liberties to be more safe. Whitmer imposed rigorous restrictions aimed at curbing the spread of COVID-19, including restrictive travel and implementing a statewide mask mandate. Michigan has recorded more than 1 million cases and 21,124 statewide deaths attributed to the disease, according to Johns Hopkins University COVID tracker. Then we'll go to this one. Michigan Governor Whitmer stripped of emergency powers. It's a lot of the same. Yesterday was a great day for Michigan, and yesterday was anything but partisan politics. Michigan Congresswoman Lisa McClain told Fox and Friends first on Friday, it was the voice of the people saying enough is enough. Whitmer utilized powers granted by the Emergency Powers of Governors Act in 1945, which allowed her to enact significant health and safety restrictions in the early days of the pandemic. Whitmer faced immense pushback and public protests against lockdowns in April. Armed protesters gathered at the state capitol to demand Whitmer repealed style stay-at-home orders. I wonder why they say like they're armed protest. You can like be at. I guess it kind of depends on your state laws too, but for the most part, you can just be out and about being armed, as long as you're not presenting a threat. But unfortunately, like I grew up in the country, but like I live in like a city, like a major metropolitan area now is like the city and the surroundings, like 2 million people. But I guess a lot of people that like grew up like in the city and spent their entire lives in the city, they don't understand that people, like there's a reason that Texas having a lot of like armed populaces makes it a safer place, as opposed to like Illinois, where they have like a lot of gun restrictions and there's like a lot of like a lot of crimes committed with guns, because criminals there know that mostly that people they may like rob or attack are probably not going to be armed, versus places like Texas where like, I mean, there's a good possibility he may be able to defend himself with a gun. So there's that. The governor had repealed a similar push to limit her powers in March 2020 when Senate Bill 1 made its way to her desk. The bill aimed to amend the state's public health code by limiting orders from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services to no more than 28 days of effect unless approved by both houses. See, that makes sense to me, because I think, if I remember correctly, like the president of the U.S. can like, he can't approve a war, but he can put in like combat actions for like, I believe it's up to like 90 days. Then like is it the senator or the legislator, like, or both of them, they have to like, they want to continue, then they have to like come together and like declare war, but he can like start combat actions. So I mean, there's something to be said where like you may need like an initial push or something, but like you can't just do something that goes against what the legislator and the Senate and the people of that state want. Unfortunately, epidemics are not limited to 28 days. Are we even an epidemic anymore? Because I know people are like, oh, there's people being infected and dying all the time, and the unvaccinated are killing people. But from what I've seen, though, I mean, this is more anecdotal, I guess, but from what I've seen, it seems like the people that are getting the new Delta variant are the ones that are vaccinated. Like, they got the new mRNA vaccine, which doesn't build up any kind of actual immunity to the virus, so they're catching the new strain or whatever. Whitmer said in a veto letter, according to MLI.com. Well, it's kind of interesting that she can, like, veto a law that's used to restrict her own power, too. But I guess it's... I'm not sure if it works the same in Michigan State, where, like... Or if, like, if she vetoes it and it goes back and they have, like, a big enough majority, they can, like, override her veto. But, the bill would have applied retroactively to all emergency orders issued on or after November 15th, 2020. So, I don't know. What do you think? I think that that's... It seems like she went too far. Like I said the whole time, like she went too far with it. Like a lot of these Democratic governors went too far with their stuff, pushing these like crazy lockdowns and orders and stuff. And like, because there's a big issue with, I keep going to Cuomo because he's like probably like a bigger example of this than like Whitmer was. Like he's pushing like restrictions and stuff, but it's only like in certain islands, or is like only in certain areas. Like they're going like really strict on like Hasidic Jewish communities, and also like Staten Island. I guess Staten Island's got like conservative I guess Staten Island is typically more conservative than the rest of New York City, so they're like cracking down on that. I think like Max Pub House is one place, but I don't know. Like I said, if you want to like and follow me and subscribe on Subscribestar, you can do that. I will have this. You can like, follow, subscribe on the various platforms. I'll put the video up on YouTube, up on BitChute as a backup. I've been trying to put it on mine natively, but I've been having issues with that, so I'll probably just link the YouTube, but like put it on Facebook, Minds, Gab, Parler. Then also I got an audio only version that I run through Anchor that goes on to Spotify and a couple other platforms as well. And you can just look up my name and it should pop up. So let me know what you think. That's it for tonight. All right, later.